Ew, is that thing moving? No way. Did that thing move? Shut up!
So dumb.
I'm so glad I recorded that.
Brie just threw an elf at me, everybody.
I did. I'm not going to say which one, but I don't want to say his name just in case my children happen to hear this part. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
She threw whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is our Christmas episode. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So it's the 22nd. You guys are like hoeing down on last minute Christmas shopping.
I'd be baking. I'm probably baking right now, actually.
You probably will be baking.
Yeah, me and the girls gonna be baking at least like 4 different kind of cookies.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
We had a gingerbread contest at work today. I'll send you.
Oh, how'd your house turn out?
Not as good as I thought it would.
We always anticipated to turn out so good, but it never does.
I know.
Actually saw a really cute peppermint one where you get like all the peppermints and you put them in like a pan in whatever shape, like a square pan, and you put all the peppermints in there and you melt it. And then that is your gingerbread house and you make it out of peppermint.
Oh,
it's
that's
really pretty.
Cute.
It's really pretty. It doesn't taste as good, but it's pretty.
I had so many plans for it. Like I bought this like fence mold and I melted. Shut up.
You bought a fence mold.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. But I bought the fence mold and I was going to have like a fence like going up to the door, but the person that I did it with, she suggested cutting them up and placing each like fence post wider apart and use kind of make like a horse pen with it.
Okay.
With and we had Pocky sticks.
Uh-huh.
And so that we were gonna do that, and it did not work out. And then I got these cute little like spiral looking lollipops, and we were gonna like put them throughout the whole thing, but I forgot the styrofoam type of cardboard thing, so we couldn't stick them in it. So it's all right.
Whose ever house that is in the background, that's a beautiful.
Yeah, they couldn't get theirs to stick.
Ah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it kept falling.
It looks pretty from afar.
I know. Oh, I thought I took a picture. Someone did a barn, like a red barn, and it looked like it was professionally done. I'm like, I can't.
Come on.
Can't stand with these people.
Yeah.
I'm a child.
Who's got time for this?
Not me.
I'm eating the entire time I'm making it.
I know. I wanted to eat
all the frosting is gone.
I wanted to eat the nerd cluster so bad.
Oh, yummy. I love a good nerd cluster.
I was like, if I pop this in my mouth, everyone's going to look at me.
I'd be like, I don't care. I think that's pretty much all I did whenever we built ours was I ate frosting. I ate so much frosting.
My hands are like stained
dyed.
Pink. Yeah, pink. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
What do you want for Christmas, Brie?
Oh, damn it.
I know.
I want to not be in debt.
For real. Wait, I'm not in debt. Sorry.
I want to go do things.
Yeah.
I want to go to places.
Me too.
That is what I want for Christmas.
I want to
go see my best buddy.
Aw, we're so cute.
That'd be so much fun.
I know.
Yeah, I want to go do things. I would love to, because like, and we never spend money on ourselves to go like do, like I don't need anything. There's nothing that I need other than maybe some clothes, but like I never splurge on clothes and never buy myself clothes unless it's like the cheapest of cheapest clothes.
Shein.
Or a stupid sweatshirt. I know I did buy a good bit of Shein stuff for the girls, but not for myself. What do you want, buddy?
I want to go see my best friend.
Tell Rick to make it happen.
I don't understand why our listeners don't like contribute to Patreon more.
Yeah, listeners.
That's
Tis
what
the
I
season.
that is what I want. I want all of our listeners to be a Patreon donor.
I want all of our listeners, every single one of our listeners, to share our podcast on social media.
Yes,
I
that's what I
challenge
want.
you to share our podcast.
I want
And
that more than visiting my best friend.
yeah, sorry, but you know, we can be famous. Sorry. I don't really mean that. I already want to go to that house with you. So the Winchester house.
I know, me too. I want you to visit me so we could go do that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Samesies. Cool,
Yep.
cool.
You went first last week, so I get to go first this week.
Okay. All right. This is a note given to a neighbor, and it is all torn up.
Okay.
It says, your patio decor is obnoxious. Please turn it off.
That's rude.
I know, right? I was looking up Christmas ones.
I think I saw that one. But I feel like we've shared it before.
Oh, I don't remember sharing that one.
I know. I don't remember the torn up part. Maybe that was the next year.
Maybe. They
like, found it.
Screw you.
Yeah, they found it in their Christmas decorations when they were like undoing it again.
Makes me
like,
so mad. Stupid Karen.
Okay. Are you ready for my
Oh my
Christmas?
God. Yes.
I've been talking about this forever. Okay. So I found this from Reddit. Okay. So this person was very excited to share all of this information because they are like going to school for law or criminal justice. And the question on Reddit was, how many crimes has Santa Claus committed? So this person spent a lot of time figuring this all out. And I don't remember who the Reddit user was, but it says, if Santa were to be charged for crimes he committed, what crimes would they realistically be? If he were charged in the US, this would probably be what his charges would come down to. 695 million felony counts of burglary, with a statute of limitations on felonies, which is 5 years. There are approximately 139 million homes in the U.S. as of 2019. 139 million homes burglarized times 5 years equals 695 million homes unlawfully entered.
Oh my God.
365 million felony counts of wiretapping or unlawful surveillance, because he's always watching. Approximately 73 million children live in the U.S. times 5 years, which is the statute of limitations, equals 365 million. Santa had no warrant to spy on all these children 24/7.
Oh, minors.
The only plausible way he could have done this is through technology via Christmas spyware. Maybe he downloads it on computers secretly every year when he visits, and computer cameras are secretly used to monitor the children, or he could plant a secret candy cane camera in every house. Think Polar Express with that massive TV screen that the elves use to monitor each child's ongoing video feed. That feed has to be recorded somewhere. Either way, he has no warrant to do such spying. Potential child and non-consenting pornographic charges.
Oh, shit.
With his consent, our constant surveillance program going on over minors, chances are somewhere in his video feed, a child potentially might be naked or showering in the bathroom, etc. He could also catch an adult in some compromised positions, or better yet, having sex with their spouse or partner. Santa might not save the feed, but if he does, and it has such deception in it, he could be charged with possession of child porn plus production of child porn for filming the child unlawfully, and distributing of child porn for displaying it to the elves, plus production of non-consenting pornography. Not count for, but the next charge.
Okay.
The next one count of vehicular manslaughter.
What?
Plus a count of reckless driving for running over Grandma with his sleigh.
Oh my God. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
The
Santa.
sleigh, the sleigh most likely wouldn't be considered a plane since it's closer to the size of a car. Just a guess, if Santa was ever prosecuted, Grandpa and company might want to press charges for murdering Grandma when she was walking home from our house Christmas Eve.
All right.
Number 5.
Fair.
One count of adultery if the mommy who kissed him lived in Massachusetts and went further than kissing. Number 6, billions of copyright infringement and or counterfeit good charges. The actual amount here is unknown, but it is probably more than the aforementioned 365 million total children he visited over the 5-year statute of limitations, since he usually gives each kid at least 5 presents. Let's say, for the sake of it, Santa gave 1,825,000,000 presents over that time period.
I'm sorry, but whose house does Santa give 5 presents to?
I'm guessing it's like on the average.
Because in my house, he gives 1.
What?
Maybe 2, but parents give the rest of the gifts.
I like that. I really like that.
Parents deserve some credit, not
They
Santa.
do. They do. But I'm guessing that's probably maybe like the average.
Okay.
So let's say, for the sake of it, Santa gave 1,825,000,000 presents over that time period. Most every gift kids ask for is branded. Copyrighted items like an iPad, PlayStation, Barbie doll. Let's say 90% of the gifts Santa gives are copyrighted items. Well, Santa gifted 1,642,500,000 copyrighted items. Wait, that's not legal. Here's the catch. The elves are making the counterfeit versions of these items and passing them off as genuine. Unless Kringle Incorporated is a contracted manufacturer for toy companies or Apple, which is most likely isn't, then Kringle Incorporated is committing copyright infringement. Number 7. Many violations of labor laws. Santa's elves are for all we know, he's slaves. They make no money and they work relentlessly all year at Santa's orders for little return. They definitely aren't being paid the minimum wage, and let's say 2,000 elves work at the North Pole. 2,000 times 5 years? Yeesh.
Jeez.
So that's 10,000 labor laws.
Oh my God.
That he violated. Many violations of neglect laws. The elves live and work at the North Pole under Santa's authority and supervision, and in return he provides them room, board, candy canes, and hot cocoa. The only thing is, relentlessly putting elves in your shop working all year with little breaks and no pay is definitely neglect. Also, providing them with only hot cocoa and candy canes won't help his case here. Also, does he have insurance safety measures in place for them? 2,000 elves times 5 years. Number 9. Potential property damage. If Santa's sleigh ruined someone's roof, someone's chimney was destroyed after he scooted down it, he knocked over an expensive piece of delicate furniture in someone's house, maybe the meter dropped down to 0 in his sleigh, brushing up on someone's car, a bridge like an elf, or the Statue of Liberty, for example, he could be charged with property damage. Say, over the last 5 years, he destroyed 100 pieces of property and 1,000 people's homes. Still pretty good odds considering he visited millions of homes. Well, that is still 1,100 potential counts.
Oh my gosh.
45 counts of criminal animal abuse.
Oh my gosh.
9 reindeer times 5 years. Pitting reindeer to work, trotting tens of thousands of miles around the earth in one night with no or little food could be considered criminal
Here's
animal
corn.
abuse.
Here's some corn.
Here's some corn, some
Here's
carrots.
some stupid things that these kids threw. Here's glitter. Hope you can eat that. Oh.
Number 11, licensing and registration law violations. The sleigh is a flying object that isn't exactly a plane and closer in size to a car or a small boat. Let's say for purposes of this answer that the courts consider it equivalent to a car. Well, Santa, quote unquote, drove without a license, insurance, inspections, or registration in all 50 states. That's 5,200 potential counts.
Dear God.
Number 12. I love this so much.
I do too.
Number 12, fleeing law enforcement, kidnapping, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, illegally transporting a minor across state lines, and assaulting a police officer. In Christmas Chronicles, Santa Claus fled law enforcement and led them on a police chase with Teddy, a minor, behind the wheel. He then assaulted a cop and resisted arrest after kidnapping 2 kids and transporting them 1,000 miles from their home. The delinquency to a minor charge is putting Teddy behind the wheel to evade the police, thus encouraging him to commit a crime.
In the Santa Claus, he ran away from the cops too.
Yes, he
And
did.
he took his son. And he took him out of the country.
And in Elfie also ran from the cops.
Yeah.
What were they, nightingales or something? I
Mhm.
don't know. So, number 13. 1 count of assault. In Miracle on 34th Street, Santa assaults the owner of the Shoppers Express after being provoked by him. This count will probably be dropped due to it being self-defense. However, the owner of Shoppers Express didn't show physical intent to harm Santa, so Santa might still be guilty. Number 14. Unlawful transporting a minor across state lines and child endangerment. In Polar Express, those children got on the train without their parents' consent and traveling from Michigan to Alaska, a distance of 4,000 miles. The conductors and engineers would most likely get some of these charges, but Santa would also most likely be found at fault considering he prompted and hired the operators of the Polar Express, and he was the quote-unquote king of the North Pole. The child endangerment charges come from 1, having children drive the train, 2, having the children on the train in potentially threatening icy conditions, 3, having children on the train moving approximately 4,000 miles per hour in a blizzard. The only charges Santa would likely get are the transportation one and the 4,000 mile per hour child endangerment one. Maybe the one of having the child drive the train if they forgot tickets, if that was his idea. Last one, number 15, another count of kidnapping. In Elf, upon delivering little Buddy in his sack, he decides to keep Buddy.
You're right.
Without adopting him or returning him to the rightful guardian.
He totally stole that baby.
Yes.
I mean, he was in an orphanage, but he stole that baby.
Yeah. He also potentially could be busted on another endangerment charge since 1, transported Buddy back in a sack with inadequate ventilation and food or a safe car seat. And 2, never took Buddy to school or providing him with an education or real food other than candy.
Oh, man.
So, it's safe to say St. Nicholas would be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Santa is like the ultimate heist man. Like, this dude is in like another league of his own as far as like Ocean 11 goes. They should make an Ocean's 11 Santa version.
They really should. I mean, Santa, he's got it all. Child abuse, endangerment, even murder.
Yeah, I was about to say manslaughter.
Man.
Wow.
The only thing he doesn't have going for him is weapons.
Right.
Or drugs.
Which, oh man, he's had to have had a weapon in something. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I swear the Santa Claus movies, I remember him. No. Maybe in the last one with him and Jack. Nope. I don't know.
I can't think of any.
I can't either.
So, That was just a little tidbit. I am also going to share with you some crimes that people have committed while wearing a Santa Claus suit.
Oh, sick.
On January 5th, 2015, Randy Lang entered a Monterey County, California branch of Buffalo Wild Wings, determined to distribute some last remnants of holiday cheer. He claimed to be Santa Claus and brought with him a duffel bag that allegedly contained 5 football-sized amounts of pot, weighing in at over 2 pounds.
That's a lot.
The fake Santa accosted customers and told them he brought the presents, placing samples of pot into their confused, chicken greased hands.
Oh my God.
Employees also received an unwelcome Christmas bonus when he filled their tip jar with a hefty brick of weed. Unfortunately for him, the recipients of his gift did not react joyously. Police almost immediately were called. When they arrived, he was calm and cordial. And Police Sergeant Nick Borgs recalls, he said he expected to be arrested for doing this at some point. Sounds like this isn't the first time. He was charged with furnishing marijuana, further bolstered when police searched his home and found another 0.9 kilograms or 2 pounds of cannabis.
Oh my gosh.
Who is giving out free weed? Like,
Yeah,
that's
right?
insane.
I mean, who's complaining about it in California?
I would think.
Yeah.
So this
Like,
one is,
thanks, man.
this is my favorite one. So every year, Canada Post runs a program where children can write a letter to Santa Claus and receive a personalized reply. By 2007, over 15 million letters had been written, resulting in a Guinness Book of World Records accreditation for the most letters to Santa ever received and respond to. I'm surprised it's not the Santa Claus house in North Pole.
Same.
Maybe it's not as well known. I don't know. When you're dealing with a program, that big human error in some form is inevitable. However, what happened during the 2007 Christmas season was entirely calculated and pretty malicious. 10 unfortunate children received responses from Santa that are laced with messages such as, "This letter is too long, you dumb shit." And and your mom sucks dick and your dad is gay.
Oh.
Mostly true statements in all likelihood, but it's really not Santa's place to say. In response to the scandals, Canada Post released a statement indicating they were doing everything they could to track down the culprit, who they believed to be one rogue elf. As it turned out, it was a group of minors who had gained access to the mounds of festive letters.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Definitely a bunch of like teenage kids like,
your dad's gay.
Wow.
On Friday, November 27, 2015, a man in full Santa costume arrived at Campo de Marte Airport in Sao Paulo, Brazil, looking to hire a helicopter. It was the start of the Christmas shopping season, and more specifically, it was Brazilians' Black Friday. When asked by the helicopter's pilot why they wanted to rent a helicopter, the Santa imposter minimally stated that he wanted to create a quote-unquote surprise to mark the special day. Indeed, the pilot was overwhelmingly surprised when his red-robed customer revealed a weapon and instructed him to fly to a farm far away from the city. There, the hijacker rendezvoused with an accomplice, and the duo proceed to tie up the pilot. They then made their getaway in their newly acquired chopper. It took several hours for the pilot to free himself, at which point the police were informed of the hijack. and the helicopter, as well as the 2 occupants seemingly vanished into thin air. So they never found the helicopter.
Oh my God.
Why
That's
was he-
crazy.
I love that he was wearing a Santa suit. He was
Yeah.
just like, I'm going to rob this helicopter, but in a Santa suit.
What time of year was it?
It
What
was
was the date?
November. It was in Brazil, but it was November 27th,
Okay.
Black Friday
Yeah,
for
yeah, Black
Brazilians.
Friday.
Yeah. So,
Way to kick
And-
off the holiday season.
in Derbyshire, England, on the night of December 19th, 2015, a man dressed as Santa climbed through the drive-through window of a KFC restaurant. In lieu of a white curly beard with a black ski mask or pair of stockings hiding the culprit's identity. Yet, in considerable dedication for his chosen gimmick, he did still sport a red Santa hat, robe, and pants. The bad Santa stuffed all the money that was in the till into a sack he brought with him and forced staff at knife point to open the store's safe.
God.
Derbyshire police offered a pretty unhelpful description, stating the man wore a red hat, red trousers, and a red jacket. And his face was covered. Womp womp.
Wow.
Everyone dressed as Santa is a suspect. That's another thing that they said.
Oh my God.
Then in December, that doesn't really narrow down the field much. It's unknown how much money was taken from the store, but it was probably enough for a pretty decent Christmas dinner.
I was gonna say it could have been Colonel Sanders, but the red suit, yeah, no.
Unless it was Colonel Sanders as Santa.
Maybe it was Colonel Sanders. Maybe he was just coming to get some of the money that, KFC
was
owed
owed
him.
to him.
Yeah. The secret seasonings, man. It's all about that.
It's like Christmas secret seasonings.
Yeah.
So on December 10th, 2004, Elkin Clark was dressed up as Santa Claus and selling boxes of Hershey chocolate in downtown Atlanta. According to Elkin, he was putting up with a customer from hell, and is quoted as saying, "She was stealing my stuff. I asked for 10 to 15 times not to touch my stuff." In his contention that the elderly woman took 29 boxes of candy from him to the value of $145. However, there was no evidence of her theft. Eyewitnesses accounted largely focus on Elkin flipping out for no reason, picking up a large board and smashing the woman in the back of the head with it.
God.
2 local university students attempted to run over to protect the victim. Meanwhile, he hit the woman twice more while she was laying on the ground. A month later, the woman died of her injuries, and he attempted to have his charges reduced on the grounds that the woman, who was 74 years of age, died due to underlying health problems.
Oh.
But his appeal was unsuccessful. Did I
Oh.
say he was dressed as Santa Claus?
Good. I don't
Yeah, I
remember. Okay, you did. Okay.
Yeah, on December 10th, 2004.
I was just assuming he was.
He was dressed up as Santa Claus selling
Okay.
boxes of Hershey chocolate. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that now. Okay.
Santa's a murderer. So this is my last one. Gabriel Caddis was the chairman of the Jaffa Orthodox Church Association in Israel. As such, the annual Christmas procession that took place in downtown Jaffa, whatever it's called, was largely organized by his group. The fact also made him a target. On January 6, 2012, during the Nativity of Jesus celebrations outside the local church, a man dressed as Santa Claus approached him from behind and repeatedly jammed a knife in his back.
Shit.
His last words before collapsing were simply, "I've been stabbed." He was
Yeah? Have you? Oh.
He was rushed to the hospital where he died from his injuries. 6 people were arrested in connection to the murder, one of them was his rivals from the chair of the Jaffa Church Association.
Oh my
He
gosh.
he had been twice beaten in the election by this one of those people.
Jeez.
And a local cleric said the murder hadn't just killed Caddis, but also killed our Christmas joy, and
Aw.
also killed the human and spiritual values embodied by Father Christmas, who makes children happy on Christmas Eve.
Oh my gosh.
Womp womp.
It's heartbreaking. Wow.
Take my heart and rip it out.
I didn't know so many Santas were criminals.
And Santa himself.
He's a smooth criminal.
Womp womp. Jingle bells, jingle bells.
That was a good story. I want that Reddit post. I want that link.
I will find it.
I want to read it to Josh. That is hilarious. I loved all of it. That was fantastic, all of it. But I really loved that one.
I can copy and paste this. No, I have it saved.
I want it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was mainly what I was excited about telling you, was all of the crimes that Santa has committed.
It's hilarious. Oh my God. But you think about it and it's like, damn, Santa. But when I was a kid and we believed in Santa, I remember getting threatened about him and everything and saying oh, if you're not good, you're gonna blow my, he's gonna put you on the naughty list.
Yeah.
And then I go in my room or something like that and I'd get changed or something and I'd be thinking, Santa watching me get undressed?
I know.
It's like the same
thought that too.
thoughts that you have about relatives that die. Like, are they seeing me get down and dirty and doing bad things? Grandma? Shameful. You know what? If they are, shame on them. Shame on them more than shame on us.
Would that be like a peeping Tom type of situation?
Freaking pervert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is too funny.
All right.
Sorry, it wasn't Reddit. It was Quora.
Oh, okay. Quora. Okay.
Yeah.
He told me Reddit.
I know. I'm just going to send you this link. Okay, I am ready to hear your story. Please tell me.
All right, buddy. So remember 2 years ago when I made up a story about a particular elf on the shelf?
Yeah.
I have a part 2. I hope it's good. Okay, so we have a story about Elfie, the elf on the shelf elf.
He's done more things.
Okay, so
yours is so creepy.
Well, yeah, that's why I did the whole elf thing at the beginning of this.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we last left off with an ordinary family selling their elf on the shelf on Facebook Market. So remember, in the last story, you guys can listen to, it was like 2 Christmases ago, I made up a story about an elf on the shelf. And basically everything that happened in it was it seemed like this elf was becoming possessed and making the kids do weird things. And the dad ended up being dying or whatever. But it all ended with the mom waking up and it was all just a dream. But because they were so
she woke
paranoid
up on the couch, right?
Yeah, she spilled wine on herself.
Yeah.
And so she woke up, realized it was all a dream, but they were still so paranoid that they wanted to sell it anyway, just because they couldn't look at it the same.
Right.
So that's little snippet there. Go listen to the last Elf on the Shelf episode. Okay, so we last left off with an ordinary family selling their elf on the shelf on Facebook Market. It was silly, of course. It was just a toy, a decoration, a bit of happiness for your children. All because of some paranoia brought on by some pranking, and add some wine into the mix, and we have a full-fledged possession on our hands.
Right.
This could not be the case. The elf on the shelf, formerly known as Elfie, was sold to a widowed dad named John of a little boy named JJ. No disclosures or anything given since, again, this was all imagination.
Right.
This would be the first Christmas John and JJ would be on their own. John purchased the elf, hoping to bring some Christmas cheer into their home. On December 1st, JJ woke up to find his elf perched in the Christmas tree with a cute little note. He was thrilled. He had known how to read for several years now, so he was big enough to read the note. It said, "Hello, JJ. Only 24 days until Christmas. I'm Miss Scout Elf sent by Santa to watch over you and bring you Christmas cheer. We will become the bestest friends. After
Yeah.
you go to sleep at night, I will fly back to the North Pole with my daily report and come back to most likely a new spot. Be sure not to touch me, or I can lose my magic, and also be on your best behavior. I'm always watching. P.S. Please pick out a special name for me as your elf." JJ stared at his new friend in amazement. He got a sudden aching in his head, but it quickly passed. After this encounter, JJ went to wake up his dad. John was very happy for JJ. He feared that this would be a really tough year on him.
Yeah.
John asked what JJ wanted to name his elf, and JJ said that the elf said his name is Elfie.
Oh.
A little weirded out, but probably just an 8-year-old kid thing. He thought that it was an odd thing to say. All day, JJ raved about Elfie. He even told his Aunt Jane about him over FaceTime.
Aw.
Aunt Jane was more excited for JJ. She asked a lot of questions about his new friend. She even said she'd bring him a special pair of gloves that were used with their childhood elves, allowing them to carry the elf around safely.
Oh.
This made JJ even more excited. Aunt Jane promised she'd make JJ a little Christmas package for him and his new buddy with the gloves in it and bring it by the end of the week when she came to visit for the holidays. JJ waited all week until finally on Friday, he got off the bus from school and walked towards his house and saw his aunt's car in the driveway. JJ quickly ran inside to greet his aunt and overheard her and his dad arguing, saying, "It's not him, it can't be, and remember the fire." JJ's dad saw him, and not long into the discussion, he'd began with the, "Oh, hi, bud. How was school? Look who's here." JJ ignored all of that, ran to his Aunt Jane, ran to his Aunt Jane. Aunt Jane loved Christmas. All year round, she was always wearing a gingerbread necklace. She was a
Aw.
very pretty woman, always made up, smiling, everything. Dad and Jane weren't very close. JJ always felt like his dad was intimidated by her, but they needed all the family they could get right now. JJ asked if she remembered his special gloves. She then went into the living room, grabbed a pretty Christmas box, and gave it to JJ. When he opened it, he first put on the gloves. They were red with sparkles on them, most likely from Walmart. Along with it was a little pocket knife. Aunt Jane said, "You're 8 now. I think you're old enough for one of these." The knife was red and had JJ's name engraved on it. Lastly in the box was an old Christmas bell. The metal looked worn, and it had red ribbon attached to it, which had frayed on the ends. Aunt Jane said that the bell was a magic Christmas bell and had been passed down through the family for generations. JJ loved his gift. He quickly hugged his aunt and went to pick up Elfie, who was currently in the bathroom using JJ's toothbrush to clean his butt.
Oh.
Dad putting in charge for
Yeah.
you. JJ looked at Elfie and told him about his magic gloves and picked him up and played with him over the next couple of hours. After dinner time, JJ was in awe of his new friend. He just stared at his little smiling face watching him back until he felt a wetness coming out of his nose and saw blood dripping onto Elfie's perfect face, running down to the white collar of his uniform. JJ drops Elfie on the floor and calls for his dad. His dad, shocked by this, immediately tended to JJ, had some tissue, and dipped his head back. He reassured him that it was just a nosebleed and probably from all the dry and cold weather. When he was settled, he asked his dad to put on the gloves and move Elfie somewhere safe. Dad did just this and placed Elfie in JJ's room at his bedside, this becoming his new usual spot for bedtime. JJ then asked his dad what fire you were talking about.
Oh.
Pausing for a moment, Dad replied, "Well, there was a fire on Christmas Eve. We don't talk about it much because it's hard to remember. I was only 5 at the time, so it's all very fuzzy. I don't even remember how it happened. I just remember standing in the street, crying with your papa and screaming for Jane and my mom. We were lucky the firemen got to Jane in time, but unfortunately my mom, your grandma, didn't make it. It was really
Aw.
upsetting time for our family. ever since your aunt and I kind of drifted apart. That night, JJ dreamt he was standing outside of his home, engulfed by a terrible fire.
Oh my
He could
gosh.
hear screaming and crying from inside. When he looked down at his gloved hands, he saw he was holding Elfie. Elfie showing the reflection of the flames in his eyes.
Oh
This dream-
my gosh.
This dream occurred nightly over the next couple of weeks, with minor details changing. Sometimes he was holding a girl elf. Sometimes he could see Elfie inside the house. Leading up to Christmas, JJ and Elfie were constantly playing and becoming great friends. 2 days before Christmas, JJ woke up after one of these nightmares, and he turned to look at Elfie. Elfie, who was not on his bedside, as he usually was. He quickly sat up and found Elfie was on the pillow next to him. This was
Oh.
not too surprising, since he knew that the elf must have went to the North Pole last night and would return in a new spot.
Right.
In his little hands was a small note. Written in it was just a bunch of doodles, symbols, and at the bottom, Elfie's watching. JJ put on his gloves and carried Elfie and his note downstairs so he could watch him eat breakfast. Just as JJ was about to pour himself a bowl of cereal, his Aunt Jane said good morning to him and Elfie. JJ showed her the note, and she opened it, looked over it, and giggled. She said, "That's cute." Aunt Jane looked down at the box of cereal JJ was about to pour and griped about how he was putting nothing but a bunch of sugary chemicals into his body. He should
What an
be eating,
aunt thing to say.
right? He should be eating something to make a young man strong and healthy.
Oh my.
Don't you
It's
agree?
Christmas time.
Don't you agree, Elfie? She said. She then insisted on making him breakfast. She said it would be way better than some off-brand Fruit Loops. So Aunt Jane got carried away with throwing together some pancakes, sausage, and eggs. She brought her own organic, non-GMO groceries. It all looked and tasted different, but it was supposedly better for you. When she finished it all up, she grabbed a plate and set JJ's breakfast in front of him. Before he dug in, she put on the finishing touch, a beautiful homemade dark red sweet strawberry syrup. It was all so good. JJ felt bad for thinking it, but his dad never made food this good. Most of the
Aw.
food his dad made came out of the microwave. After he'd finished, he felt strong, like he could lift a house. When his dad woke up, JJ told him about the delicious breakfast Aunt Jane made for him, and he seemed upset about this. JJ reassured him that there were probably leftovers. He stormed off towards the kitchen. JJ took Elfie with him to his room to play. He started to build Elfie a house out of Legos. Elfie sat across from him, smiling and staring. JJ stared back until he heard a ringing and felt another nosebleed coming on, and then darkness.
Oh.
Like nothing happened, he was then sitting at the dinner table with his aunt. Not knowing where time went, he asked why they were having dinner so early, and where was his dad. Smiling as always, Aunt Jane answered, "It's nearly 6 o'clock, JJ. You must be starving. You were outside all day playing in the backyard and in the woods." Again,
What?
JJ asked where his dad was. Aunt Jane said he ran to the store to grab some ice cream for after dinner. He looked down to find he bled on his sleeve and had some dirt underneath his fingernails. Something wasn't right. Passing a plate of what looked like lamb down to JJ, he looked at his plate, then his aunt, and claimed he didn't feel like eating and wanted to go lay down. Aunt Jane insisted he was probably just really hungry and he was a growing boy. He needed to be a strong boy. After a few bites and an argument, Aunt Jane excused him and said he could go rest in his room if he was tired and not feeling well. JJ went to his room. On his bedside, he found his pocket knife covered in dirt and blood.
Oh
Next
my
to it-
gosh.
Next to it, watched smiling Elfie. This sent shivers down his spine. JJ sat there, trying to recall the past 7 hours. He went to take a shower, and when he undressed, he found long bloody scratches along his forearms. This scared JJ. He didn't want to go to his dad because he was afraid he'd get into trouble, and he didn't know what he did. When he laid down, he noticed Elfie was in his bed as if he'd tucked himself in. In his hands,
Weird.
another note with the symbols again. And at the end, Elfie's watching. Terrified, JJ took the note and ran out of his bedroom. He ran into his Aunt Jane, who said his dad was in the shower. She told him to sit down at the table and she'd heat up his plate of dinner. JJ told his aunt about the entire thing, all the weird things that had happened. Smiling, Aunt Jane set the plate in front of him, looked him in the eye, and said she had a little secret. Aunt Jane said Elfie was one of their family's elves growing up. Their elves were special. Elves, JJ asked. You had more than one? Well, Elfie had a friend named Ginger. But, like Elfie, she went missing after the fire on Christmas Eve. But Elfie found his way back to them. She knew it was him the minute JJ showed him to her. After their FaceTime call, she received a note from Elfie. She said she understood his language. She admitted to the elves being a little mischievous and could at times make you feel off, but he was a great friend and to trust him. He just wanted to be a part of the family. He told her about the lost time. Her explanation was Elfie liked to play games using Christmas magic, and the lost time was just a side effect to it on humans.
No.
This still didn't feel right. JJ thought about his dirty fingernails and the blood. He looked up at his Aunt Jane and asked, what started the fire? Caught off guard, Aunt Jane said, I don't know what you mean. I almost died that night. JJ felt like she was holding something back. He pushed. Where were Elfie and Ginger when this happened? Aunt Jane just sat there smiling and looking at him until she snapped, saying, we had nothing to do with that.
Who's we?
JJ pressed again by asking, what does Elfie want? Trying to change the subject, Aunt Jane grabbed the note JJ brought down from Elfie, read it, then gasped and looked down at her watch. Aunt Jane said, JJ, you better get to bed soon, or his dad's going to be unhappy whenever he comes out. JJ said he would wait for his dad. Aunt Jane protested and ordered for him to go to his room, that his father was very busy. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve, and that he had a lot to do. Too scared to argue any further, JJ headed towards his room.
Where's the dad?
I don't know. In there, Elfie was nowhere to be found. He laid down and tried to ease his mind. He drifted off to sleep and had flashes of being in the cold, damp woods behind his home. A trail of muddy blood from the woods to his back door and a constant bell ringing. In his bloody gloved hands was Elfie, staring and smiling back at him, holding the bell that was gifted to him. Ahead was Aunt Jane, dressed in all red, with a Santa hat on, like one of the elves, and her gingerbread necklace was swaying as she was dragging something into the house, or someone. JJ woke up in a sweat. He looked over at his clock. It was just after 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve. JJ could hear a bell ringing, just like in his dream. Elfie was nowhere to be found. In the hallway, a quiet moaning and whimpering. He walked out of his room into the hallway and saw a glowing coming from under his dad's bedroom. Putting his ear against the door, he heard what sounded like Aunt Jane speaking in a strange language. Getting the worst feeling and another nosebleed, JJ opened the door. There on the bed, scratched up like he had been in a struggle, was his poor father, tied up and gagged. On his forehead was a smeared bloody cross. Next to him laid Elfie, staring, smiling, with a matching bloody cross on his head and the bell in his tiny hands jingling. The Christmas tree and many candles in the room were lit, and on the Christmas tree were bloody animal remains.
Oh my gosh.
Aunt Jane, smiling, saw JJ. Perfect timing, buddy. I was about to come wake you. JJ screamed at his aunt, asking, what are you doing to my dad? Don't worry, JJ. You won't remember now. Come take Elfie's talisman, and handed him the silver bell. Dad yelled through his gag, no. JJ fought back, pulling down the tree and destroying everything he could until darkness.
That's it?
News article. December 26, 2023. The headline reads, Tragic Christmas Eve fire. 38-year-old father John Bell gets trapped in burning home on Sunday, December 24th. Christmas Eve at 3:45 a.m. The home, located on 402 Cherry Ave, Crystal Lake, Florida, completely destroyed. Witnesses say the fire was so large and the screams so loud it woke them up at 3:30 a.m., immediately calling 911. Next door neighbor and witness claimed she had seen the heroic sister to the deceased, Jane Bell, carrying out her nephew and the deceased son, the deceased carrying out her nephew, the deceased's son, minor, out of the home. Unconscious at the time, EMTs delivered aid to the boy until he came to. Other witnesses were moved by the boy's emotional reaction towards this. Neighbor Judy Marks said he was smiling, laughing, and just hugging his aunt, so grateful to be alive. Another neighbor, Ted Banks, said, "It's heartbreaking he lost his father, but it's a Christmas miracle the boy survived." Both the boy and his aunt are expected to make a full recovery. In the picture described is a young boy with gloves, with a dirty face and a little bell around his neck, hugging his aunt on the sidewalk in front of their smoking home. In each of their laps, a boy and a Girl Scout elf, smiling, staring, and watching. The end.
Oh God.
Elfie's always watching. Do you understand what happened? Does it make sense?
Yeah, so from what I took from it is that the elf is controlling the aunt.
Yeah.
The girl elf.
Well, yeah, the girl elf like took the little girl's body over the sister's body whenever they were kids.
Yeah, and then now the boy elf took over his body.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how I interpreted.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was exactly what I was going for. I know, so you know that Snapchat I sent you about the music box that kept on going off? I was literally writing the last sentence in that news article when that went off, and I was just
creepy.
like, why did you do that?
Why did this happen?
And like, it's just a made up story. We know it's fine. But I put up my Christmas decorations like a month ago, and I have one that has like a twisty music thing, and it's got like little elves on it. It's really cute, and I have it in my china cabinet where no one ever goes into. And while I was writing like the last sentence of this story, and I'm not even joking, it was like the last sentence because I shut my laptop right after it happened. That goes off and starts spinning and chiming, and I'm like, what the heck? It's supposed to be a fake story.
You manifested something.
I manifested it.
That was good.
As Hangry is staring at me. He coincidentally happens to be in here on the desk today too.
That's creepy.
I didn't even put him in here.
Yeah, I kind of, when the aunt showed up and you're saying that she's always smiling and whatnot, I was like, something's off about her. And
She's
that
too
would
perfect.
and that would make sense about them drifting apart, the siblings. Like, they drifted apart after the fire because she was an elf. She wasn't the sister.
Yep,
anymore.
Wasn't the sister anymore. I changed the plot of this so many times, and I
That was
changed
good.
names around so many times. I accidentally had another name in there at some point, but it's good I fixed it. Thanks.
That was good. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you want to hear my neighborhood story?
Yes.
Okay. So this is from next door. It's from the next door. It's a post on Nextdoor. Did you know it's from Nextdoor? It's a post on Nextdoor, but there's a picture within the post. And the picture is of a letter. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to read you the post first, and then I'm going to read you what the letter says.
Okay.
It says, "What would you do? Today, when I awoke, I found the note attached to this post, taped to my front door. I think the note, being anonymous and its content, is extremely rude. What do you think, and what would you do?" So the letter says, I have to make it bigger because I'm blind. Okay. It says, "Dear neighbor, we don't really know you as we live several houses down the street. We appreciate your Christmas spirit. However, my wife and I and several others in the neighborhood are concerned that your Christmas light decorations are not up to the stature of this up and coming neighborhood.
Oh.
Compared to the other festive homes, we feel that your decorations are quite unbecoming and are giving this neighborhood a bad look."
What?
What? We're sure that any of the neighbors, us included, would be happy to help you decorate properly and give this area the pristine look it deserves. We apologize if this seems uncouth or offensive. We moved here to be part of the growth and the resurgence of this area. We hope you are not upset and hope you truly understand. We wish you nothing but the greatest of holidays, full of love and happiness. Sincerely, concerned neighbors. Bro.
First off, when you say things like, no offense, things like that,
It's offense.
It's probably going to be bad.
Catch these hands.
Wow.
These hands right now.
Wow. I would immediately put up a giant skeleton. I would go spend the money on a giant skeleton, go put it in my yard and be like, God.
I would do that. I would get all of the inflatable stuff.
Yeah.
Because people hate those things
Yeah.
sometimes. I would get all of that. I would
Super
get
tacky.
all of it, all the tacky stuff.
Yeah. Oh my
Ugh.
gosh. I'd be so mad.
Catch these hands.
Ooh.
Ho,
Ho, ho, ho, ho, ho.
ho,
ho, ho,
ho. We're so dumb. It is like midnight where you live, so I'm gonna let you
Sure.
go.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I think my kids aren't in bed yet, so I'm gonna go put them to bed.
Oh, that's good. I need to eat and shower. Take
There's
off
blood
my
on my
makeup.
leg.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I don't know what it's from. It's probably from Elfie or Hangry. Dang it! I call him Elfie all the time because I've done these stories, and it freaks me out when I do it. I feel forbidden when I touch him. I should. Ew, it's dirty.
Ooh, that's gross. So, I have something to tell you after this. Have you checked in on the neighbors?
What's with the neighbors?
Bring
Bring
me
out.
out.
Psh. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Say hi to your cats for us. Say hi to the reindeer for us. Hoo, hoo, hoo. That's so dumb. That's not what reindeer sound like.
Don't get run over by Santa.